as promised in some of the comments on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to get to the mailbag now here. We'll take you through a whole bunch of questions that you guys submitted to us. And if you have more, tweet me at @WhatGoingDowney. First up from Tyler Hill. Why is Calvin Ridley considered better than Dez Bryant's true replacement, James Washington? Well, Tyler, I am of the belief that Ridley is better than James Washington, so I'll break down both prospects here and kind of explain why I think that. For Ridley, he entered the pre-draft process as the consensus #1 wide receiver. I don't know if that's truly the case anymore. There's been some debate there with guys like DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton, but Ridley is a great route runner. The dude just gets open. The production's not that great. He's not the best athlete. He's a little light in terms of his body weight, but I think that Ridley gives you the option to be an actual potential #1 wide receiver, or at the very least a very good #2, because he's such a great route runner. I think he'd be a perfect fit with Dak Prescott. As for James Washington, as we have the Ridley player card graphic up here, with Ridley in particular, I want a guy that can get open, a guy that is able to make big plays in terms of catches, just normal catches there. But with Washington, I have a big question mark. What is his elite trait? What does James Washington do better than every other wide receiver in this year's draft? Ridley does it with his route running. Washington, it's his production, and he's a big play machine, but he's doesn't have the greatest size. He's actually slower than Calvin Ridley is. I have some concerns about Washington producing at the same level or even near it they did at Oklahoma State against those bad Big 12 defenses. I like James Washington, but if I had to pick one, I'm going with Calvin Ridley as well. Next up from Pierre Williams. Did the Ravens signing Michael Crabtree increase the chances of Dallas drafting Ridley in the first round? Pierre, I kind of think that, yeah, it did. I don't know if Ridley's going to be there or if Dallas wants to take a receiver in round 1, but I think the Ravens' moves at wide receiver and their interest in still adding more guys, for example, Willie Snead and Cameron Meredith, means maybe Baltimore won't go wide receiver in round 1. They've got Michael Crabtree. They signed John Brown. I'm not a big Rashad Perryman fan. I'm not a big Chris Moore fan. Mike Wallace is a free agent. But the Ravens' need is no longer as drastic as it was at wide receiver. If they had to, they could wait on a wide receiver. So yes, the chances have been increased for the Dallas Cowboys. Next up, how about tight end Rico Gathers? What's the plan for him going forward? Is it more playing time or still developing? Well, I think this is a make or break year for Rico at tight end. If he doesn't show some progress, if he doesn't just get on the dang field, I think the Cowboys might move on from Rico in the near future. At some point, he's got to make the potential into production there. That's where we sit right now with Rico. The upside's there. I will closely monitor what the Cowboys do at tight end in the draft. If they spend an early round pick, I think that means they don't really trust Rico right now. Today's show is brought to you by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com for 15% off your stay at some of the best luxury residential buildings. Next question. With moving Byron to safety and back and Collins to tackle and back, Brad wants to know, what are we doing with all of our talent guys? I think it's a great question, Brad. The Cowboys love their versatility, their position flex, but I think at times it comes at the detriment to the player's development. I think that's true with Byron, and I'm concerned it's true with Lael Collins. If the Cowboys make another switch for Collins, be it to guard or a tackle, keep him there. Stop moving him around. That's going to slow his progress. I'm on board with you there, Brad. Next up from Daryl Murray. When are they going to address the corners and safety situation? We'll start with corner because, Daryl, I think the Cowboys are done at corner. Maybe they spend a late round pick, but you look at their depth chart right now. Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Byron Jones, Anthony Brown, and last year's 6th round pick at FSU, Marquez White. I actually like that group quite a bit. It's a young group, not a whole lot of money invested. I think it's a solid 5 cornerbacks if White can prove himself on special teams. Maybe spend a late round pick and have him compete with White. But I don't think you're going to see the Cowboys invest much more at cornerback because they like Awuzie, they like Lewis, and I can't wait to see Byron Jones at corner as well. As for safety, that's a much bigger need because, as I've said many a time on the show, I'm not a big fan of Jeff Heath. And even if you include Heath as a starter, you've got day 3 picks in Xavier Woods and Kevon Frazier, plus practice squad guys in Jamel Showers and a futures guy in Marquiston Huff. So if I'm Dallas, I am looking at a safety early in this year's draft. I know a lot of you guys like Derwin James. That could be an option, potentially even in a trade-up, which we'll discuss here in a little bit. Mr. Evil Mike 2 wants to know why haven't the Cowboys signed Kenny Vaccaro yet. Didn't agree with the rest of my free agency list, but he liked that one. Well, I'm glad you like Vaccaro, Mr. Evil Mike, because I also like Kenny Vaccaro. The safety market has been very slow to emerge right now, and the Cowboys, who need a safety, haven't done a whole lot right now. I would love to go get Kenny Vaccaro. I think he'd be a great fit for the Cowboys. He shouldn't be that expensive, but the safety market in general is very slow right now. That could be why you're not seeing Dallas focus on that. Plus, they're trying to figure out their wide receiver situation and the offensive line. Ethan wants to know, could the Cowboys go get a starting type guard in free agency? He mentioned Jack Mewhort originally, who has since signed a very cheap deal with the Colts. I think it makes some sense. Not a whole lot of guards left. I think it maybe made more sense for as an early free agency target. But you've seen the Cowboys look at the tackle spot, so they are looking to upgrade the offensive line, Ethan. And then JC wants to know what's happening on at the left tackle position. You mentioned that Smith was not healthy last year and hurt the O-line. Well, you're right, JC. But I think the Cowboys are going to focus on keeping Tyron Smith at left tackle, maybe getting a right tackle and kicking La'el Collins inside to guard. This is their depth chart right now. I don't think Byron Bell is going to come back. I don't think Chaz Green is ever going to rebound from that awful game against the Falcons. And then Jaron Jones is very much a developmental guy. He was actually a defensive tackle at Notre Dame, was on the practice squad this year. So I think you see the Cowboys draft an offensive tackle to at least compete with Chaz Green, if not outright beat him out for the swing tackle job. I hope you see the Cowboys try and upgrade it at swing tackle because they do have something just in case Tyron Smith gets hurt again. Again, today's show is brought to you by the Guild, luxury lodging at the best residential buildings. Ron Smith wants to know if I think the Cowboys will be aggressive in the NFL draft. Ron, oh yeah. The Cowboys have 10 picks right now. I will be stunned if they use all 10. They're going to move around. I think that means up and down as well. They got number 19, number 15, number 81. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm looking at number 80, or excuse me, at number 50, and trying to move up in round 2. Maybe you see him make a big splash on round 1. We know that Jerry Jones loves the attention and drafts in Dallas. He could try and make a little ploy there and maybe go get a guy like Derwin James around 12 or 13. At number 50, if I'm the Cowboys, I try and move up to the top half of round 2. We've seen him do it in the past with guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, and it's worked out pretty well. They have a whole bunch of late round picks as well in the 5th and 3 in the 6th now and 1 in the 7th round. I think we'll see Dallas move a lot of those picks. They will be very active in the draft. Trader Jerry, I think, is back this year. And then finally from Isaac, do you think them boys could use a first-round pick on an offensive lineman who's there in round 1? Well, I think for the Cowboys, there are a couple names to monitor here. Isaiah Wynn, Will Hernandez, Colton Miller, who they are bringing in for a pre-draft visit, Mike McGlinchey, and Connor Williams. If the Cowboys sign someone like Cameron Fleming, they will not spend a first-round pick on an offensive lineman. If they don't get Fleming and they enter the draft with a big need, I do think it makes sense. I think that they like Isaiah Wynn and Will Hernandez. They could also take a tackle and kick Collins back inside to guard.